This is CBS 12 News at 11.
Tracking the tropics in May?
Taking a look at our first storm that's trying to form in the Atlantic, where it's going.
Should children wear masks in school?
Stop trying to divide and oppress us.
Why some parents demand the time is now and students cannot wait.
Taking a gamble.
Sports betting gets the go-ahead why it might be over before it starts.
The news starts now.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Liz Kidantis.
I'm Jim Grimes. Tonight we are tracking the tropics. Hurricane season could begin before it actually officially starts.
We are tracking a developing weather system that could become our first named storm of the season in 2021. Chief Meteorologist Vitas Reed has the chances of Anna forming this weekend.
Yeah, could it? And Wes, the question. In fact, we have a storm that's out there spinning around over parts of the Atlantic. The interesting thing about this is it's a little bit early, but we have had storms begin earlier in the season in the past year. So tracking those tropics, definitely we do have some activity out there. The question is, where will that storm end up and how much more strength can it get? So looking at the tropical satellite, we can see over towards Bermuda. We're watching this area here. We'll zoom in and shade it. You can see that circulation, a little cyclogenesis trying to take place, and that's the formation of a potential of a storm. Now, the percentages over the next 2 days has gone up from 10% to 30% from the National Hurricane Center. Over the next 5 days, up to 60%, which is quite interesting just within a 24-hour period. The real key is the sea surface temperatures. The water is only in the 70s to mid-upper 70s, and that's where that storm is sitting, right in this region here. There's Bermuda. You try to get into the warmer water, and that is the fuel, the gasoline to run the storm, but it looks like it's trying to dip down into some of that moisture. So as we advance the Euro model, it slowly tries to strengthen a little bit. This is looking at about 8:45 on Thursday, but then we look a little further. That storm kind of moves towards the United States, but turns back away and moves back out into the Atlantic. Big ridge of high pressure kind of breaks that storm apart. I'm going to have a closer look at this and also look ahead to your dry weekend coming up in my forecast.
Get that mask off my student now. That was the message from dozens of angry parents outside the Palm Beach County School Board headquarters during a very vocal protest this afternoon, and then inside when they slammed board members tonight during a meeting that's still going on. At issue, the mask optional decision for the next school year. Parents and students don't want to wait until August to shed those masks. CBS 12's Luli Ortiz has been listening to parents make their case tonight. She joins us live. Luli?
Well, Liz, here's a list right here. There are over 80 names right now, and these are the parents who are still speaking to school board members right now during that meeting, which, by the way, started at 5 o'clock. It is still going on. Now, what they're upset about is that their children are still wearing masks indoors, and what they're arguing right now is that they want to make masks optional tonight instead of waiting until the next school year. The school year ends on June 18th, but tonight parents are front and center to end mask wearing now.
As I do not feel that my tax dollars should be used to further your power trip.
And going on record.
We are here tonight to stand up to you and to demand that you get back to being a non-political board that listens to the parents.
Emotions run high during tonight's Palm Beach County School Board meeting where the current mask policy is being discussed. It's already been decided that masks are not necessary outside and they are optional in class come the fall. But that's not enough for these parents.
A couple of weeks ago, he was having a hard time breathing.
Parents like Sean Sykes are pushing the district to get rid of the mask mandate right now, 4 weeks before the school year ends. Some even challenging how the decision to keep masks is not based on valid medical advice.
Waiting another day is unacceptable. My son is 6 years old. He was told to put his head down. 6 years old, embarrassed in front of his entire class because he said, my daddy told me I can pull my mask down so I can breathe. And the teacher told him to put his head down. We don't do that here.
Stop trying to incite division among us. We are Americans first, and we will be free always.
Applause and chants inside come after this heated protest outside before the meeting. Children joining more than 100 parents of a group called Unmask Palm Beach County Kids, with a heavy police presence standing by. Drivers along Forest Hill Boulevard honking in support.
It's emotional for me for the youth of our generation that we're raising below us.
Christopher Russell says he is speaking up for his son.
You're breathing in your doo-doo, okay? End of story. That's what it is. And it's detrimental to children on so many levels that we're not even understanding yet.
One mother stands here with photos of her son at a hospital after she says he developed a breathing issue and needed treatment because of the mandatory mask wearing.
He's 6 years old, and a 6-year-old doesn't realize that sneezing, wiping your boogers, or coughing in your mask and then leaving it on all day isn't sanitary.
Now, before public comment, Palm Beach County Health Department Director Dr. Alina Alonso, she talked about how there's been a recent spike of COVID cases of kids between ages 5 to 14 and how there's a concern right now because some of those kids don't have the ability to get vaccinated. And she talked about the importance of keeping those masks on indoors. We are live outside the Palm Beach County School District in West Palm Beach tonight. I'm Lily Ortiz, CBS 12 News.
As for other school districts in our area, Okeechobee County schools are no longer requiring masks. In Indian River, Martin, and St. Lucie County, schools masks are optional for summer school, but those districts have not yet made a decision about mask wearing for next year.
Well, even if you've already seen it, this video out of Escambia County, hard to believe. It shows an 11-year-old girl waiting for a school bus. Police say she was just sitting there playing with blue slime. A strange white SUV stops, and that's when this man jumps out. He's carrying a knife. He races toward the child, and you can see she tries to fight him off, struggles. He finally decides to let her go and get back in his car. He speeds away. Turns out, here's the thing, had that home surveillance camera not been there, it wouldn't have been a different story. In fact, it helped police in tracking down that suspect. He was arrested just 8 hours later. Detectives say 30-year-old Jared Stanga even painted his SUV in an attempt to throw them off his scent. When they arrested him, he still had blue slime on his clothing. He's being held tonight on a $1.5 million bond. The girl's mother says Stanga actually approached her frightened daughter just weeks earlier.
Be aware. Tell them an extra time that you love them. Tell them that how special they are, and make every time before they go to school, no matter what, any time, because you don't know. You just don't know.
Investigators also confirmed Stanga had a criminal history that includes sex crimes against children. And Liz, the sheriff's office said had that little girl not fought him off, it could have ended much differently.
Absolutely. And Jim, many abductions happen between 2 and 7 p.m. when kids are going to or from school. And girls between 10 and 14 years old are the most frequent targets. So what can you teach your children about this to keep them safe?
I tell them, like, it is okay to fight, because sometimes they don't think that's okay. They think they're going to get in trouble.
On our website, CBS12.com, we have a video showing 3 moves you can teach your child in case they are attacked. From crimes against children to crimes against the elderly, Martin County deputies are looking for more possible victims after they arrested a man accused of raping an elderly woman. 20-year-old Marvin Mendoza is charged with breaking into an 82-year-old woman's home, tying her up and sexually attacking her. Today, a judge set his bond at more than $500,000. Mendoza's rap sheet shows 4 previous arrests, including lewd behavior with a minor, but he was never convicted. Deputies say crimes like this rape often turn out to be serial offenses, and they have reason to believe this wasn't Mendoza's first. Anyone who may have been a victim is asked to call the sheriff's office.
A lot of people around the state now excited with this news. Sports gambling soon could be legal. State lawmakers hammering out a deal in a special session, and proponents say that this will be a windfall for the state, bringing in millions of dollars in extra revenue. Or will it? CBS 12's Jay O'Brien joining us right now. This may not even get off the ground, we understand.
Yeah, there are some people pumping the brakes on this. Exactly right, Jim. Before we get into all of that, before we mention any of this, we want to show you the numbers as to how sports betting would impact the state, at least according to the lawmakers who are big proponents of it. They cite this number a lot, $500 million. That's the annual revenue that the state could see from this entire Seminole gambling deal. This is a large deal cut with the Seminole tribe between the state of Florida that covers all of their gambling activities. Sports betting is only a small part of this, but it's one of the major parts that critics say could land the Seminole tribe and the state in court.
$1 exacta box 146.
The Palm Beach Kennel Club preparing the place for sports betting.
Screens here, over there.
Under the newly approved deal, every sports bet would go from a place like this through servers owned by the Seminole tribe placed on tribal lands. The tribe getting a cut of every sports wager in Florida, no matter where it's made, queuing up a serious legal battle. A federal law says all Native American gambling must happen on tribal lands. Critics say the servers processing these bets don't count. Then there's the Florida Constitution, which requires any gambling expansion be approved by voters. Anti-casino groups promising lawsuits on both fronts.
In this deal that will likely be struck down in part by courts, and what do we get from it? Not very much.
We're a higher court.
Attorney Tayson Gaines says plaintiffs could even ask a judge to temporarily stop sports betting before it gets off the ground, as their case weaves its way through the court system.
To ask the court to order a party to cease or to take on certain activities.
And certainly the Indian Game and Regulatory Act.
Meanwhile, even lawmakers in favor of this deal, like Republican Randy Fine, aren't sure sports betting will hold up in court.
Me personally, I don't think it's going to survive.
We spoke on his way back from Tallahassee.
The law is unclear, and I think there will be challenges. They can be challenged on both the federal level and the state level. If it does get thrown out, the voters of Florida can put an amendment on the ballot and get sports betting that way.
The state group No Casinos is already signaling that they will bring lawsuits against this deal soon, but proponents of it, including Governor DeSantis, point to the thousands of new jobs that could come into Florida and the estimated $1.5 million a day in added state revenue that this whole gambling deal would bring, and it would only slightly decrease that number if sports betting was struck down by the courts. Jim.
Jay, we've been talking about this for weeks now. It's unbelievable that all the time and energy put into this, and this thing could just go away. And it still has one more governmental hurdle.
Yeah, this deal is years in the making, and you're exactly right. There is one more governmental hurdle. It's got to go by the Department of the Interior. The Secretary of the Interior has got to approve this deal. And remember, it's not just about sports betting. This deal is every amount of gambling that the Seminole tribe does. So there is a lot to go through.
All right, keep us posted.
Next at 11, a law protecting military medical malpractice is gone, and many families are looking for justice. What's being done to speed up the process?
And then from triumph to trauma, the story of a 2-year-old girl nearly beaten to death and the person who came to her rescue.
I think finding the truth these days is tricky.
CBS 12 News is doing that every single night.
Asking questions, demanding answers,
digging deeper,
getting to the root of the problem, getting to the truth.
CBS 12 News at 11, the one to turn to. Keeping you ahead of the storm. Storm track weather, only on CBS 12 News.
Spotlight on America has been shining a light on the military's ferries doctrine for years, the rule that barred service members from suing the government for medical malpractice. Now, more than a year after Congress changed that law, allowing families to seek action, we've learned that more than $2 million in claims have been filed with the Defense Department, but no payments have been made yet.
Yeah, Spotlight on America's Josie Stearman now sits down with the California Congresswoman Jackie Speier, who's pushing the department to speed up that process.
There's something about water that's calming.
When Suzanne Way is looking for peace, she finds it in the pond her family built to honor their son Jordan, an avid fisherman and Navy veteran. Lately, solace has been hard to come by because of the ongoing battle for accountability in his death.
And I'm tired. I'm tired.
For years, Spotlight on America has followed Suzanne and her husband Dana's fight for Jordan against the military. He died in 2017 following routine shoulder surgery at a Navy hospital. It wasn't until 2019, though, that the Ways were finally able to file a medical malpractice claim against the military. That's because a decades-old law previously banned service members and their families from suing the government for malpractice until new legislation provided a different pathway.
You know, my son's death is not going to be in vain because of negligence.
But we've discovered the Waze claim and dozens more like it have languished in limbo as the military comes up with a policy for making payouts.
I am pounding the Department of Defense on a weekly basis. Where are the regulations? They were supposed to be out in September.
The process, we've learned, has dragged on months longer thanks to political red tape, with a framework actually laid out by the Pentagon before the end of last year, but never moved along. The rule is now supposed to be finalized in June, with potential payouts to follow. But for Congresswoman Jackie Speer, the delay is unacceptable.
There's no question that they dropped the ball. I don't know if it was intentional or just not a priority, but it wasn't completed on time, and for that, they should be criticized.
Speer has been critical of the military's handling of the process, even calling out their inability to answer basic questions in a letter last fall. The DoD wouldn't answer our questions either, with the Secretary of Defense's office unable to tell us exactly how many malpractice claims have been filed with the military, with individual branches of service telling us it could be months before they respond to information requests we filed seeking basic numbers. Spotlight on America is aware of at least 140 malpractice claims that have been filed, totaling approximately $900 million. But one published report says the total is actually closer to $2 billion, with more than 200 claims filed.
Nobody wants the money. The money never brings your child back. It's always about accountability.
We will walk in this, our family will walk in this the rest of our lives.
They've dealt with the worst tragedies people could possibly imagine, and they've been waiting. What do you want to tell them?
Help is on the way. Really, help is on the way. The wheels of federal government move slowly. I don't like it. It really bothers me. But I don't want to throw sand in those wheels either. I want it to move forward.
Moving ahead to help service members injured or killed, not on the battlefield, but at the hands of military doctors. I'm Josie Sturman for Spotlight on America.
Well, this week, a man was sentenced to 30 years for nearly beating to death a 2-year-old child in Vero Beach. That child is Macy, since been adopted by retired Indian River County Sheriff's Office Captain Darren Jones and his wife Lisa. On Tuesday, her biological mother's then boyfriend, Stevie Wallace, has been given a maximum sentence in the beating case. As for Macy, well, she's having to go to therapy 3 times a week and is having to learn how to walk all over again.
When you're their parent or you're their guardian or you're their caretaker, even if it's just for a day, you're all they have. You're what they depend on. And how that little baby could have gone through that for those 4 days and looked at him and thinking, you know, you're all I've got, you're supposed to take care of me. And she knows that a man named Stevie Wallace did this to her.
Jones was among those who worked that criminal case. He's now vowed that no one will ever harm Macy again.
All right, turning now to weather. Chief Meteorologist Vitas Reed is tracking the tropics in a system there with a chance for development, but you're also tracking a really nice night and week for us ahead.
Yeah, other than the wind that we have out there,
Yeah,
a little bit rip currents, it looks like we are seeing drier conditions and a little bit of a calm heading into the next couple of days as far as any rainfall is concerned. So high pressure in control, breezy, strong rip currents. That's one thing we have to be concerned with. But looking dry ahead, when we could use the rain, it is a little bit dry out there, and temperatures are going to be heating up as we get into early parts of next week. In fact, talking about those winds, still holding winds out there anywhere from 15 to 20, gusting up to 25 to 30 through the overnight. And that's going to be the case for tomorrow. So we will have to deal with rip current concerns along the beaches. So just be aware of that. And then also small craft advisories for boats as we see a little bit of a chop out there on the Atlantic. So we're looking at some showers up around Tequesta, and then also Jupiter getting a little bit of a rainfall right now just north of Riviera Beach. A little bit of activity moving in just down towards Boynton, and also looking down just south of West Palm Beach. We'll continue to see that rain just in a little bit of lines coming through. Not everybody seeing it, but then spotty showers. Looking at those temperatures in the mid-70s, and that's kind of where we'll hang out late tonight as we're looking at 77 Delray, Lantana at about 76 degrees, 75 Jupiter, West Palm right now 78 degrees, moving up into the Treasure Coast, mid mid-70s, and we get around Lake Okeechobee looking at those temperatures in the mid-70s. Looking at Okeechobee right now, 73 degrees. Tonight, my forecast looks like this. Right around 73 to 76 degrees, mostly cloudy, breezy. A passing shower with those winds out of the east at 10 to 20. So tomorrow morning's commute, you might wake up with a little bit of wet pavement depending on where you are, but we'll get some sun back in play through part of the day, becoming partly cloudy. Still holding on to some windy conditions out there as we go through the afternoon. Wind gusts up to about 30, 35. So still could be a little bit of an issue, like I said, out on the open waters as we're seeing temperatures in the low mid 80s across the area. Winds out of the east, 15 to 25 plus, so be prepared for that. As far as rain chances on the lower scheme, we're looking at rain really minimal, only 20% chance tomorrow. And then as we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, even into early parts of next week, not much out of the atmosphere. We have that big high pressure that's pretty much keeping us dry. There's those spotty showers tonight. Then for tomorrow, more sun and clouds, maybe a passing sprinkle. But this high pressure ridge is really bringing the winds in, but then also keeping us mainly dry across the area. Another thing this thing is doing is keeping that little disturbance out over the Atlantic, held out over the Atlantic, and it's going to continue to stay away from us. So it looks like the first storm, or maybe named storm, will continue to stay over towards Bermuda. But for us, muggy meters are showing very low humidity. It's going to be pretty comfy as we get into Thursday, Friday, going into Saturday and Sunday as far as the air quality is concerned. And on the water, like I said, because of those winds, we will have a small craft advisory for tomorrow with those winds out of the north-northeast at 10 to 20, gusting up to 30 with seas with a 4 to 6 foot chop out there. Something to watch very closely. I'll have a closer look at your exclusive 10-day forecast coming up.
Watch Ashley Glass and Matt Lincoln on CBS 12 News this morning. Now, the South Florida Honda Sports Report.
Well, Brooks Koepka may have missed the cut at the Texas Open last week, but the former Cardinal Newman High School star has made a career from shining on the big stage. The two-time PGA champion will be looking for a third starting tomorrow, and he loves the fact that people out there doubt him because of his recent struggles and lingering knee injury. Koepka says the extra 2 days of rest last week did him well heading into the PGA Championship, and that his game is exactly where it needs to be heading into tomorrow's first round.
It's not like Augusta where I'm trying to figure out what's the best line to walk. Now I can actually hit golf shots, understand what's going on. If I can't hit shots, can't play. So no point in that. But now I got everything under control.
We can watch the PGA Championship this Saturday and Sunday right here on CBS 12. The Florida Panthers are witnessing firsthand what it takes to be a Stanley Cup champion. Unfortunately, it's the opposing team who's providing them clarity of what playoff experience can do for you. And Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores, he was the spark plug last night at one point in Game 2, giving the crowd something to cheer about on the Jumbotron, waving the Fear No One towel. Many of the Dolphin players there behind him as well, and that inspired Mason Marchment. Gets the crowd going even more with this goal, cutting the Lightning lead to 2-1. But Tampa Bay holding the Cats down in the third. They eventually cap it with the empty netter. Panthers now have to win 4 of their next 5 to win the series.
We played great all year on the road. We just got to stick with it here. No one's hanging their heads here, and we're going to move on to this next game.
You'll watch Game 3 on Bally Sports. That's tomorrow night starting at 6:30 p.m. New York Mets pitcher Noah Syndergaard with his first rehab start for the Port St. Lucie Mets today in Jupiter following Tommy John surgery on a torn ulnar collateral ligament in his right elbow, taking on the Cardinals, and that pitching arm looking pretty good. Help from his defense here. Leaping snag from Jose Peroza. Nice. Noah appreciates that. The New York Mets will appreciate the rest of these highlights. Mowing down Cardinal batters, 5 strikeouts over 4 innings, only gave up 1 hit. Mets won here 11-8. Class 2A state semifinals in Fort Myers, Trinity Christian from Lake Worth taking on Out of Door Academy from Sarasota. Trinity Christian starting pitcher Angelo Alivi with a huge strikeout there to end the inning. The catcher caps it off with the toss down to first. Warriors tie the game here in the third. Ariel Antigua bloops it, dropped by the right fielder. That cashes in a run to make it 1-1. Jan Oquendo gives Trinity Christian the lead in the fourth with a sac fly here, but a rough 7th inning for the Warriors results in a 5-2 loss. An amazing season comes to an end. A 17-8-2 record. 8th time they've reached the state championships. Congrats, guys.
And be sure to stay tuned to The Late Show with Stephen Colbert right after CBS 12 News at 11. Tonight's guest is Lisa Kudrow. We'll be right back.
Well, taking a look at our exclusive 10-day forecast, it looks like we're going to be windy for the next few days here, leading us up into the weekend, but we'll get sun and clouds tomorrow. Only a 20% chance for passing shower. More sunshine on Friday into Saturday and Sunday. The weekend looks fabulous, but we are below normal with rainfall. And we'll start to see those temperatures going back up early next week, getting back into those 90s, especially into the following weekend coming.
All right, a lot of sunshine there. Thanks, Vetus. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to tune in. Watch Matt Lincoln and Ashley Glass for CBS 12 News this morning.
Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.